Positivity is not the opposite of negativity. True positivity looks negativity in the eye, understands and embraces the reality of it, and says, okay, you get to be here. Elizabeth Gilbert. Welcome to Casa De Confidence, a podcast for you. You'll hear some incredible women
and some awesome, cool dudes
going confidently in the direction of their dreams and living in the purpose of their heart.
You're our host,
Julie DeLucca-Collins, and you are our sidekick. # handsome hot husband.
That again.
And the producer of the show.
That I am.
I am an author, speaker, coach, dreamer, and most of all,
we help people go in the direction of their dreams
and support them on their purpose. So pull up a chair,
grab a drink,
and make yourself at home because our casa
is your casa. Welcome back to Casa De Confidence.
Welcome back to you, Daniel.
I know. I'd like to say that I have missed you all so very much. It's been 2 weeks since I've, been
graced
here
us with your presence.
Yeah. So,
so
welcome back, me.
What have you been up to, Daniel Collins?
Oh, it's been a busy end of the year for Mr. Casa De Confidence man. So, so I've had a lot of busyness going on.
Busy or productive? I want to know the difference.
Busy. Productivity.
Busy productivity.
No. Busy productive. Very productive busyness.
Well,
not just busy.
I just want to make sure we kind of clarify, because I've been telling people that productivity and busyness are not the same thing.
They're not. You can be productively busy, but you not necessarily are busy productively.
Okie dokie. I get it. So anyway, the quote that I just read, I have to tell you that I really was blown away by a letter from love with Elizabeth Gilbert. Letters from Love. This is her journal and Substack. And I love it. I'm subscribed to it. I read it. And boy, did that journal entry hit me in the heart, because Elizabeth Gilbert has a way of just saying the things that a lot of times I can't put words into, and I can't even tell you. So anyway, but basically the part of the quote that I didn't say, because you told me that it was too long, I want to say that because
I didn't say the quote was too long. I thought it was too long, as the soundbite in the beginning.
Okay. But here's the part that, and I'm going to link it on the episode notes so you can go check out this. Or if you're subscribed to the email, then you'll get this. I'm going to send you the link for it as well. But true positivity, the real stuff, the good stuff, the world-altering energy of light, the powerful, alchemical attitude magic that changes everything, actually accepts, welcomes, and includes negativity. I always thought positivity is the opposite of negativity, but the way that she unpacks this, right? She talks about where positivity and negativity are constantly struggling for power. And if that's how we view it, we will always be setting ourselves in opposition to do something. And that's war. And we're always at the end of a war in ourselves. And I think that it's so true. And when I think about it, when we're feeling down, when we're feeling upset, there is room for joy. And in the same way, I think that if we start looking at the stuff that is joyful, even though there's negative shit going on, we can have something to hang on to, something to anchor us. What do you think?
I think I could put it in a science kind of bent.
Oh, okay. We missed the nerdiness. Go ahead.
What is it called when you make an analogy? Yeah, an analogy.
An analogy?
Without positive and negative, there's nothing. There's no motion. There's no movement. I mean, you talk about atoms. Without positive and negative, you got your electrons and protons. There's no motion. Positive and negative I don't think of it as a fight and war, but of a dance together to create more power.
Look at you.
It's the dance of life.
Well, listen, I missed your wisdom there, mister. By the way, I forgot to tell you this on Friday. I was on a podcast. I was being interviewed for a podcast, and okay, you won't believe the name of this podcast. I can't believe I didn't tell you this until now. Oh my God. This cracks me the heck up.
Oh my God,
Okay.
You are cracking yourself up. Let me know. Go ahead.
Okay,
I want to be amused too.
I interviewed this person for our show, but we haven't released it yet. Her name is Sonia Narvaez. And
say her name again?
Sonia Narvaez.
Mhm.
And the name of her show is Talk Nerdy to Me.
Oh, love it.
Isn't
love
that amazing?
It.
Isn't that amazing? And she really, at first I was like, I don't know. Wait, does she think I'm a nerd? I mean, I don't know if I'm a nerd. I
You're
never
a bit
would
of a
have.
nerd.
Thank you, Dan.
You can be a bit of a nerd, but in a different.
Okay, listen.
In certain ways.
By the end of our recording, I knew that I was a nerd because we were talking about habits and confidence, and I was just running at the mouth when it comes to that.
You're nerding out on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was nerding on that. So for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or your husband's a nerd and a dork.
A nerd and a dork, yeah. We've often talked about and whether or not you and I would sit at the same table in the cafeteria in high school.
No, probably not.
Listen.
Because we never would have went to the same high school.
Well, if we did go to the same high school.
We wouldn't have.
We wouldn't have because I don't sit at the tables.
Well, I went to tech school. Are you going to go to tech school?
No. I went to a very.
Speaking about nerdy.
Yes, Daniel. What about nerdy?
I went to tech school.
Oh, that's nerdy.
That was the end of the sentence, not the beginning of a new one.
Okay. Well, I guess I didn't understand what you were saying. Oh, boy, have I missed you, my love. I mean, you've still been in my life all this time, but just the listeners haven't had what would you call it?
The pleasure.
The pleasure. The pleasure of your nerdiness.
I know, but the episodes you put out without me were very, very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quick, and they weren't episodes with a guest. It was just you. And I think, you know what? People put it in the comments or email Julie or
they can respond on this email.
Oh, that's right.
They can respond to the episode.
Do you want more of just Julie? And
just Julie.
Just Julie.
Sounds like a lot.
She does a lot of interviews, and that's mostly every episode is that. But how about just some insights from Julie for episodes on the in-between?
I love being in the in-between. Anyway, listen, I've been starting to do the year end review
I just
for
had
the
a brilliant
business.
idea.
Okay, what's your brilliant idea? You just interrupted me, but go ahead.
I know, but it's not all about you. I'm back.
Okay, you're back. Go ahead.
Episodes of Just Dan.
Oh, look at you.
Oh my gosh, what did I just do to myself? Everyone reply and say, no, we do not want to hear Just Dan.
Well, if you want to hear Just Dan, go to Talk Dirty to Dan. I mean,
so what?
God, I take that back.
Where did that come from?
Because I was thinking Talk Nerdy to me, and then
Talk dirty to Dan. Yeah, you can just email me and talk dirty.
No,
I'm kidding.
Hard no. Listen.
So yeah,
okay.
If I do an episode though, it might be fairly nerdy.
It would be fairly nerdy. But speaking of nerdiness, and this is something that I definitely will geek out on, and if you're one of my clients, if you're in my universe, you know that this is a time of year in which I am going to challenge you. And I'm doing this for myself. And you and I did this last year. We actually went to the brewery in the morning and started to do this and sat there for a good portion of the day doing the strategic review and planning for the business. And one of the first things that I encourage the listeners to do is to review your current revenue streams and see where is it that the money in your business is coming from, and then create a goal for the end of the year, because it's not the end of the year for all intents and purposes. And if you are not hitting that goal that you set for yourself for 2024, brainstorm at least a couple paths that you might be able to create the revenue. And then, you want to review your sales funnels and see, what is the customer journey? Because we don't look at that often enough. And innovate, create. And again, if people want to get a copy of what I'm using, you can go to goconfidentcoaching.com/quick links, and I will have a copy of the form to review the end of the year for yourself. And it's pretty comprehensive, but so good. Oh my God. I updated this form, by the way, also.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, how about the people who are listening that aren't entrepreneurs or don't have their business? How can that help them?
Well, I think that one of the best things that you can do toward the end of the year, because I think that, we get so caught up with like, what am I doing? What's coming up? I got to get everything done. And there's to do. And then you're super busy, but not productive. Number one, I want to challenge you to go back and do a calendar audit for your year. Look back. I think most of us forget, okay, well, this was going on in January, February, etc. So that's going to be important. But other than that, I want to get into our guest today, who we know in real life. And she is probably one of the most badass women I know. And I am so happy and thrilled that she is here. Her name is Anjel B. Hartwell, and her podcast, and now has been an award winner, recognized as one of America's premier experts. She is the creator, executive producer, and host of the 13 times award-winning #1 Apple internationally ranked Wickedly Smart Women podcast. And oh my, did I learn so much from her. She's just my idol among other women that I admire tremendously because she's wickedly smart. She is a lively guest, and we know her from the New England Podcasters group.
You're bound to have a good time listening to this show. Mm-hmm. So without further ado, Julie and Anjel.
Welcome back to another episode of Casa de Confidence. My friends, today I have with me someone who is the creator and executive producer and host of the 13-time award-winning Apple #1 podcast, Wickedly Smart Women. And I have to say, I am in awe of the amazing story that she has. She's been through an incredible journey. I asked her to come on the show after hearing her speak at an event. I love that she can walk us through not only her journey, but how she's impacting the world and the lives of others through her speaking, her books, podcast, and everything else. So welcome to the show, Anjel B. Hartwell.
Thank you so much for having me, Julie. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
Well, the honor is for us. I want to say that hearing your story and seeing the many accomplishments that you have really enlightens everybody, because a lot of people see that, only all the good things that are happening, but they're not seeing where you were, what was happening. So I'd love for you to kind of give us a glimpse into maybe 2004. I know that your bank account was not where you wanted it to be. Tell me about that.
Well, let me go a little bit further back, because before 2004, I had spent 20 years in the real estate business. And at the end of that career, I was the national chairperson for my trade association. I was in a partnership with two partners. We built 51 single family houses, 56 apartments, and an office building. And I had a spiritual awakening. And so that happened in the 2001 timeframe. And by 2004, since you asked about 2004, by 2004, I had spent almost 3 years. I didn't leave my partners until 2002. So I had basically 2 full years where I literally left everything behind, including my marriage. And my income. I just left everything behind as a result of this spiritual awakening, and discovered all of these parts of myself, all of these latent parts of myself that I didn't even know existed, because in my old life, I was very left-brained. I was very much like, keep all the numbers in the boxes,
Yes.
very, I would say masculinized. I was, masculinized. There's a whole generation of us women who were highly masculinized. We were taught to bring home the bacon and fry it up in the pan and never let him forget he's a man. So we had to actually do both, be feminine and masculine at the same time. So by 2004, I was in a place where I had almost exhausted all of my savings. I had started to utilize a lot of credit cards to be able to keep moving myself forward in this exploration journey, in this spiritual journey. And I remember really, really vividly, when I left my business partner, he said, "What are you going to do?" And what fell out of my mouth was, "I'm going to be a crystal healer." And I had never even had a crystal healing, so I didn't know what the hell that was. And back in 2002, people were like, "What?" Especially in New Hampshire. Like, what? Like,
what? Yeah.
New Hampshire. It's not California. So by 2004, I had become a crystal healer, and I had my very first crystal healing workshop that I did. And I was beginning to get a little bit worried. I was beginning to get kind of very concerned about the money, because there was a lot going out and not a lot coming in. And so I was trying to like, okay, now what am I going to do next to be able to like actually have money come in? So I had my very first workshop, and 3 people came to the workshop, Julie, and they each paid $35 to come to this workshop, which was my first crystal healing workshop. And I got home from that, and the babysitter probably cost about $40 of that, maybe $50 of that. The babysitter had put the popcorn in the microwave convection oven upside down and burnt a hole right through the roof of the oven.
Oh my. That was an expensive babysitter.
It was a very expensive babysitter. I had a call that my car needed 4 new tires. And then the very next day, I'm out in the yard mowing the lawn, sweat pouring off of me. I've got all of these expenses now that have suddenly popped up in front of me. And I run over a bolt with the lawnmower. And so I realized in that moment, now I had 3 things back to back to back: the microwave, the 4 tires on the car, and running over the bolt with the lawnmower, having to replace the lawnmower. I realized I was creating what I was worried about, which was money problems.
Yeah.
And so, so that's where I was in 2004.
Well,
in the summer of 2004.
It's amazing. It's amazing to see the evolution. And I know that it's a long time since 2004. I look at my life in 2004, and I was pretty much in that rat race with you. I was just very hungry to climb that corporate ladder and also be the person that had it all together, and showed that I was that high achiever. And of course, had a wonderful life outside of my work. I'm looking at my evolution, and I know that there were a lot of places where I had to learn some difficult lessons, but those lessons are the ones that I wouldn't trade. What are some of the lessons that you learned from the crystal healing workshop to the person who you are now? Because you're an award-winning speaker, author, podcaster. You have a lot of the things that many of us aspire to. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, so let me just say that in 2004, I did not have any of what I have right now on my radar screen. I mean, what I had was a raw desire to help people to heal, because I had spent 2 years healing myself. So I had this really, really raw desire. It was a spiritual calling to help other people and to help them to heal. And And healing looks different now to me than it did back then. However, what I will say in terms of lessons that I learned, one of the most important things I learned was to say yes to my calling and to let go of attachment to having it be a certain way that my mind is projecting it needs to look, and allow for the evolution of that calling to be happening over time. So, in 2004, what I decided to do was I had actually taken and invested at the end of 2003 in my first online course. This was back long before we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have any of that stuff. We had Google. I think we had Google.
Yeah.
We had search engines. Somehow I found this woman and I took this course from her because in late 2003, after my divorce was final, I had a card deck that came through. I had this whole card deck and it was called Dance Through Your Divorce.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, how am I going to get this card deck to happen? Right. This was before card decks were super popular either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like,
you're a pioneer. You're definitely a pioneer.
Yeah. Right. So I had this card deck. And so I took this course. I invested, So I would say another lesson that I've learned is invest. Again, not being attached to outcome. Invest, don't be attached to outcome. Because I invested in this course. It was called the Self-Help Authors Crash Course. And I figured, okay, well, this was what was available. It was what was available at the time. This person was a New York Times bestselling author. I'm going to invest in this thing. I took the course. It was a 12-week course. And it was basically lecture. And then we had the open Q&A at the end. And I got a lot of data. And at the very end, we had an opportunity to ask. And I said, well, I've got this card deck. And she said, well, I can't help you with that at all, because this is about authors and books. Card decks are book packagers. Well, this was back in 2003.
Yeah.
Okay. Card decks back then, you needed to see a book packager. Okay. We didn't have print on demand. We didn't have any of that stuff.
Right.
You need to see a book back. And so I was like, okay. And she said, you also need a platform. Well, I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. I was like, what the hell is a platform? Okay. I don't know. What does that mean? So I ended up actually building what I called my platform. I built an art gallery and healing art center in my downtown. Because my kiddo was little and I was like, okay, I need to be home and I need to be doing my healing work. And so I built an art gallery and healing art center, which was another interesting money pit situation.
Amazing. Well, I would have never thought of doing that, but I love that you actually, and this is the thing, right? As women, we have to find the right answer by asking the right question. And you didn't go after the advice of this woman and said, oh, I'm not going to be able to do it. You started to ask, how can I? And you came up with the solution of the art gallery. Now, of course, I'm sure that's a lesson, but where did you go from there?
Right. So the Art Gallery and Healing Arts Center, I ran that for 2 years and I began to see, and also cashed out of my share of the apartment buildings in the big project that I had in real estate. So I got a big chunk of money in 2006, like $700,000. So it was like, yay, my life has changed. I have $700,000.
I don't have to worry about money.
I ran around and opened up bank accounts in 7 different banks. Everybody's like, ooh, hi, how are you? $100,000, we'll take it, right? So that was pretty exciting moment in time. And so I was running the Art Gallery and Healing Arts Center, and it became pretty clear about a year and a half in. I mean, it was probably clear earlier than that, but I didn't want to necessarily see it. It became very clear that, people would come in and they'd be like, oh, the energy in here is so wonderful. And they'd sit for hours and they'd buy a $7 rock, maybe if I was lucky, or a $12 CD, maybe if I was lucky. So I, again, was in a place where I was like, the money is not working. The money is just not adding up. And I didn't want to squander the $700,000 that I had just received. Although, a big chunk of it I put into a house, thankfully. I did, a lot of it ended up getting spent. And I went and started praying and saying, okay, so I need help here. Upstairs team. I call it my upstairs team. I need help. And I got a vision in 2006. They gave me this big vision. And the vision was for a street festival. And I could see everything. I could see all of what this street festival laid out to be. So I ended up having 15 live performances. I had 40 vendor booths. It was called Firefest. It was a destination. It was a celebration of the healing, visual, culinary, and performing arts in the downtown of my city. And the mayor gave me everything. I called it Archangel Michael's party because all I have to do in the morning was get up and say, where am I going today? And I'd be like, oh, you got to go over to the Persian Rug Gallery and see if they'll take a booth, or you got to go see the mayor. And he gave me all of the police protection and the fire department and the trash removal and all the stuff.
Amazing.
It was amazing. And we brought, I ended up doing that 2 years in a row, that street festival. But the first year, it basically was me. And people were like, what are you talking about? It was you. It was me and my upstairs team. The second year, it was a lot harder because I was doing it because people wanted me to do it. And I was people pleasing rather than because it was an inspiration. It was perspiration instead of inspiration the second year. But I brought 6,500 people total to my downtown, made Nashua a destination location for the arts. And
amazing.
Yeah, the second year, everything was doubled. It was 80 vendor booths, 35 live performances, 4,000 people came. And and again, the money didn't add up. I ended up investing to,
right.
There was not a profit. Let me put it that way. There was no profit from either of the street festivals.
But it's amazing that you started to really create something that build momentum. And I know that you probably gain incredible insight into what you needed to do next.
Totally. Because at the end of the first Firefest, it became very clear to me that the money was not happening in the art gallery because literally I had 2,500 people on the street in front of my art gallery.
Right.
And that day I made $650 in the art gallery. So that led to me closing the art gallery. And when that happened, that brought me online. And when I got online, that was a huge change in my life. And it was about, at that point, the calling was, okay, now share this whole journey with people that you can change your life, you can experiment, you can have failures, you can pick yourself back up, you can try something else. And when I got into the online space, within the first, when I started in the online space, I made $400 in the month of May. And by the end of the year, I had made 40,000. And within 3 years, I had made 400,000. So that was oh, we're lined up. We're lined up now.
We're lined up. And for most of us that are looking to continue to grow, and I've been in the online space for 4 years, and certainly I know that I've made a lot of strides. I know there's more to come, but did it scare you at a point, growing and not knowing what your outcome would be?
I'm not going to say that there were not times that I was terrified. I mean, the day I was mowing the lawn and rolled over the bolt, I was terrified, but I was worried about money, and worrying about anything is going to actually amplify and create. I found that was the truth. And so I'm not going to say that there weren't times that I was, initially I was afraid to talk about my spiritual awakening. And so what did I have to do to get over the fear of talking about my spiritual awakening? I had to talk about my spiritual awakening. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Paradoxically, whatever you're afraid of, you've got to go do, right?
That's right. So, I love that.
Selling, I was afraid at one point because my first husband, the father of my child, was not a pleasant person, to say the least. And I was very concerned that I would potentially even lose my child at one point, because my worldview was so different now as a result of what I was doing. And his worldview was very, conservative and And so there was a lot of fear around, well, am I going to be taken to court? Am I going to lose my child? Am I going to lose the house? Am I going to lose the money? Like most fears are fears of losing, right?
Yeah.
Am I going to lose respect? Am I going to, that's what most fear is based in, is losing. And so absolutely there were fears, no doubt about it. And often you have to do whatever you just look right in the face and say, okay, this is the calling for me was stronger than the fear. The calling was stronger. And I had so many miraculous moments. Like, for example, when it became time to close the art gallery, after the street festival, the first street festival, I was clear. I was like, oh yeah, this is just not working out anymore. Because when I built the gallery, I had it in my mind, because my kiddo was 10. I was like, oh, I'm going to be here for the next 8 years.
Okay.
Till he's 18. Right. And then when he's 18, I'm going to be, I can.
You can go anywhere, you're free.
Do whatever.
Yeah.
Do whatever. I was free. And so now it's 2 years in, I triple what I had originally budgeted to spend to build the thing, so I'm in debt there. A lot of, spending the money that I had gotten from the real estate deal, spent a lot of that. And I was mad. I was so mad, Julie. I was going down the stairs to get other, like the artists. I had extra art down in the lower realm because I couldn't put it all on the walls all the time. And I like to change things out every now and then. So I'm going down the stairs and I was like fuming at my upstairs team. Like, why did you make me do this? And now I have to close the place. I was so mad.
Yeah.
And I got a flash in my insight, in my inner vision of the art gallery burning to the ground. And so it was like super clear. The message was like, you can go one way or the other, but you're going. Either way, you're going.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's certainly very intense. And, for me, I learned that, like you talked about, what we focus on grows. And I remember I had a similar fear when I knew it was time to leave my job, to leave. And I remember thinking, oh, people are going to think I'm crazy. Why am I leaving this great job? And I have a lot of autonomy and I have the fancy title. They're going to think I'm nuts. And I kept putting it off. And I was so afraid. And then, of course, you know how it happens, right? Whatever you're afraid of, if you don't take the step will be taken for you. And I got laid off. And immediately I thought, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do. But it took a lot of angst this is why I do this show, right? Confidence or gumption or that bravery doesn't come naturally. It's only coming to you when you actually decide to take that imperfect step. And we have to go through what we go through to get to where we want to be.
Well, I would also say that every time that you come against the next fear, it's really the fire that you walk through to hone your spirit and amplify your confidence. So, the first time I started speaking virtually, like literally we were using telephones and free conference call lines. Yeah, that's how it was.
Yeah.
And I remember my first $10,000 client.
Wow.
And I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, it's a $10,000 client, right? That's how I went from $400 in May to $400,000 is because I became clear that I needed to actually create offers and make offers that were very high ticket. High ticket. To me, high ticket is $10,000 and up.
And up, yeah, absolutely.
And so I began pretty swiftly making high ticket offers, and one of the first ones I made, it was for a half VIP day for somebody to come to my house. She came to my house and I was like, I don't know what the heck we're doing here. I mean, I did have some sense of what we were doing. And part of my work, I mean, I bring practical strategies and spiritual technologies together.
I love how you marry that.
Clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got to be married. They've got to be married. And so I wasn't sure exactly what we were going to do, because when you're working with spiritual technologies, you have to leave the room open for the mystery to come in and show you what's going to happen. But within a structure, within a very clear structure of what your intended, what the intended work is. So she came for a half VIP day, and I think my car was in for service or something. So they had given me a rental car. And so I locked the keys in the rental car.
Oh my gosh.
And she needed to go to the airport. And I was supposed to carry her to the airport.
Oh my goodness.
It was crazy. It was crazy. But as a result of doing that work with me, within 9 months, she tripled her income.
Yeah.
Paid off all of her credit card debt and paid off her second mortgage.
Amazing.
As a result of that $10,000 half day, tripled her income, right? And she was already a 6-figure earner. So that investment that she made to work with me was absolutely paid back multifold, number one. And number two, stuff's going to happen. Stuff's going to happen. And you can either collapse in the face of stuff happening, or you can figure things in. Yeah. Right. So one of the things I figured in was okay, I'm going to call a taxi and have the taxi come and take her to the airport. And I'm going to call AAA and have them come and unlock this. You figure stuff out. Yeah. You figure it in. I actually stopped figuring out. I'm now figuring in.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I think that, we don't give enough credit to ourselves. And one of the things that I notice, and again, we figure it out. I love that phrase. I'm going to figure it out, even if I don't know how. I just tell myself, you got it. You've done it before. You can do it again. But I work with a lot of women, Anjel, that really doubt themselves, and they're so afraid. They are the client is not going to come. They're afraid. Oh, I could never charge that much. What do you say to them?
Well, this is a multi-layered conversation. So the doubt piece is the inner work, right? The demon of doubt. The demon of doubt has got to be vanquished. And the demon of doubt often is rooted in old trauma. Really, it's rooted in old trauma. It can be rooted in cultural conditioning. It can be rooted in societal conditioning. I had a client that she had invested over 5 years to work with a variety of different mentors and coaches. And by the time she came to work with me, again, this was a VIP day client, she had probably invested about $150,000 to work with a variety of people. And she wasn't doing it. She wasn't doing the thing that she was here to do, which was to help women after divorce. And we ended up working together in a half VIP day. And this one was virtual. It wasn't somebody that I need to worry about where the keys were. So then I went from $10,000 live to $10,000 virtual back.
Amazing.
This was, back sort of early in the game. And she ended up, what was going on with her was she was an Asian woman. And we discovered deep under the surface that what the demon of doubt was running was the program that you cannot outshine other people in that culture. And so as soon as we dismantled that, belief that she was carrying, within 6 weeks, she was on MSNBC talking, as an expert in helping women after divorce. She started her own radio show. She started selling. It was just miraculous as soon as we got up under the demon of doubt. So there's that spiritual technology side of things. And then let's talk about practical strategies. Right. Okay. Because Julie, if you are not charging the right amount of money, your business is going out of business.
Yeah, you're not in business. And I think that
in business.
A lot of women just randomly pick a number. That has got to be one of my biggest pet peeve.
Right.
And by the way, when I started, I used to, if individuals wanted me to come and speak or train in their school district, when I was in the corporate world and working for the educational company, they paid a lot of money to have me come in. And I transitioned to my coaching and I was like, oh, can I charge $100? I don't know. And then it was like one day I'm like, wait a minute. That's not what I need to be doing. And I needed to start looking at it from a perspective of I am worth it. I can do this. And
it's not even that you're worth it, Julie. It's you're the CEO of your business. Is your business
Absolutely.
profitable?
Yeah.
Is your business making a profit?
Right.
Is your business, are you serving your clients with the fullness of your ability to serve? And what is it that, yes, we have to work on you valuing yourself. That's layer one. But we also have to look at what is the actual value that you're delivering into the marketplace. And so, great example. I had a client that worked with me about a year and a half ago, and she invested almost $100,000 to work with me. She had been a woman who had actually bought a $48 million company with no money of her own.
Wow.
Ran this $48 million company, then got out of that business, started a llama farm, then got out of that business, and then she landed in the personal professional development space. And she had invested to work with a coaching company. And one of the coaches that she was working with said, oh, you need to go out and get 10 clients at $250 an hour.
What?
She ended up meeting me through the podcast. Exactly. She ended up meeting me through the podcast, and she was a contributor into our collaborative book, Wickedly Smart Women book. And after we started to work together, she paid for a VIP strategy day. And then she kept on working with me after that for a variety of other things that I offer. But at the VIP strategy day, I said to her, I said, listen, you ran a $48 million company. The universe is not going to permit you to work with 10 people for $250 an hour with 10 package coaching session. It's just so far out of alignment that it's never going to happen. And she was very frustrated because she wasn't getting any $250 an hour clients. I was like, because those aren't your clients.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you end up working so much harder, so draining, and you're going to get that rejection that really chips away at what you can do. How did you design your wealthy life?
Well, for me, it was all about really understanding that a wealthy life is more than just the money piece. Like it's really, I had a health crisis in 2018. And during the health crisis, I literally had to spend 20 hours a week working on health stuff, doing all of these protocols and procedures and lining up all of the supplements and all of the stuff that had to happen to help me shift my my well-being.
Right.
And it was during that phase that I got really clear that a wealthy life is the sum, like for me, the definition of wealth and a wealthy life is the sum total of all of the resources that we have available to us, not just the money. And I use the mnemonic device THIEF, THIEF, because we're often stealing from one or more of these areas. Okay. So it's our time, our health, our imagination, which is the marriage of our intellect and our intuition, the ecosystem of exchange, which is where we actually have the money piece happen. But the ecosystem of exchange is more than just money. So, if I'm doing by percentage, the money piece is about 10% of this, because the ecosystem of exchange is also where we create social capital. Like you and I now have social capital with each other, right?
Yeah.
So the money is also in the ecosystem of exchange, and then fun with your friends, family, and fellow travelers on the journey, right? Okay. So that the wealthy life is really having all of those resources that you're thriving in every one of those areas, that you feel good about how you're spending your time, that your health is good, that you're using your imagination in powerful and prospering ways, that you're making money and you're making social capital connections and you're having fun. If we're not having fun, why are we doing it?
Absolutely. And I think that, many women leave a job or start an entrepreneur journey as a second chapter in their lives. And they wanted the time and freedom, and yet they start to work 24/7. And by the way, that it's very easy for us. I've been there to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
But I love this acronym, and it's time, health. I didn't catch I. What did you say?
Imagination, which
Yes.
is the marriage of your intellect and your intuition. It's both.
Yes, I love that.
uh.
And then E is for the ecosystem.
Of exchange.
Exchange.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then fun, of course. And I think that this is really what I see starting, we do my friend does the wheel of life, and that is very similar. You're trying to put all these categories, but you also have to know what is it that you want and why do you want it and what do you value? Because at the end of the day, if you don't act according to your values, you're not going to be able to move forward. You're very incongruent.
Correct. I like to ask, are your actions in alignment with your intentions?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if your actions are not in alignment with your intentions, then, it's on you to either correct that yourself or to invest to get help from somebody who can help you to see up underneath what's underneath the demon of doubt, for example, or who can help you to put the structures in place, or some combination of both, to be able to make the change that's necessary. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and she was like, where I'm living is so draining. It's so draining to me. I can't even stand it. Like, I can't even stand it doing construction. I was like, you need to move.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do.
Right.
Yeah. And then it was like, but until November. And I was like, no. You already know you're being drained.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If you stay another minute in that place, it's on you. If you end up having your tank be completely empty, it's on you, because you know what I mean? It's coming right out of your mouth.
Absolutely. And
you're being drained. Why are you staying there?
People don't realize that. And this is why I think that it's very important to surround yourself with the right community, the right coach, the right mentors, because at times we're going to have that vision that is so myopic and we're not really paying attention to the things that we already know. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this. I've been incredibly fascinated by this. I've listened to a few of your episodes of your podcast. What is your most favorite thing about creating this wonderful content and putting such wonderful interviews and stuff in the universe? Tell me more about that.
Well, I will tell you my philosophy about podcasting. There's 3.5 million podcasts, yours being one of them. Mm-hmm. However, of that 3.5 million podcasts, only about 53,000 of them are what the people in the podcasting space call actively, producing. Not just actively producing, but actively producing and financially producing. Mm-hmm. So my podcast, I've had 3. So the first one I sold. My first podcast, I was the first independent podcaster to sell a podcast.
Okay.
My second one, and now my third one, my podcasts serve my business. Mm-hmm. They serve my business. Yeah. I do the podcasting to serve my business, and my business serves my life, and my life serves my purpose. So, lovely. My favorite thing about podcasting is creating 5-figure paydays from my podcast.
Yes.
And helping other people to learn whether or not a podcast is even for them. Because there's a lot of people that run around, I got to have a podcast. It's not even the right fit for them.
No. I was just listening to something and it made me really think. The woman was talking about human design. And I'd realized that I come across a lot of people who are not designed to be on a podcast, but the world is saying, oh, you need to have that, jump in that bandwagon. But in order to really create something that is going to not only put incredible content that touches lives, but also at the end of the day, support your business, get your word, your name out there, build your credibility, your authority. You're doing it the wrong way, in my opinion. And yeah, I know that there's other podcasts for entertainment purposes only, and that's fine. But you can even monetize those. But some people don't understand what it takes.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had a client a few years ago who came to me through Clubhouse when Clubhouse was
of course,
hot at the end of
during
the pandemic. And she actually had invested, by the time she got to me, she had invested about $200,000 in her branding, her like website. She was spending $2,000 a month to be a guest on podcasts.
What?
She had her own podcast. She was paying people to produce her podcast. And people liked her podcast. They liked it. They liked it a lot. They were clapping.
Yeah.
Everybody was clapping and liking, and she had made no money, money at all. And one of the first things we did a strategy day, and I was like, okay, I'm going to ask you to suspend production on your podcast for now.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't make sense. Like, I come in sometimes with a machete and I'm like, stop doing that, stop doing that, stop doing that, stop doing that. Suspend production on your podcast, because she didn't have an offer. She didn't even have an offer.
Oh my goodness.
And so one of the things that we did was we built out her 5-figure payday offer. And within 75 days, she had her first $10,000. Within 100 days, she had a $12,000 payday. And within 6 months, she had a $40,000 month. And in less than 9 months, she had she broke 6 figures after 3 years almost of no money coming in and a ton of money going out. So I would say to anybody who's listening, who's thinking about podcasting or thinking about coming into this business, the online space, business is simple. Have something to sell.
Yeah.
Sell it and serve it. And that's all you got to do. That all the rest of it is bells and whistles. Like, I was in the real estate business. If you don't have that foundation if you're buying the curtains for the second floor guest room, before the foundation is set, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
you're going to spend a lot of money, and and it's such a waste. It is such a waste,
and I think that it's easy to fall into the trap. And I think I like the analogy that you just gave us about the curtains. I just heard something from somebody else, and I told him I was going to steal it, because I think that is such a great example of what happens to many individuals as they're starting out. They're out there trying to sell the drill, because here's my nice fancy drill, and this is everything that it can do for you. But what people are looking for is to have a hole in their wall. You need to tell them, you need to share with them, I'm the solution. I will show you, teach you. And by the way, I come with a drill, but that person's not looking for a drill. And that's why we are always coming across not landing, not getting to the people that want to work with us, that are designed to work with us, because we're not giving them what they want.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the focus is on perfectionism. It's on
absolutely.
Are we going to look good? Are we going to, I've got to do this fancy website, all of that, and I will tell you, another one of my clients, literally made about $60 million off of the crappiest ass webpage. Like $60 million, and has never, to my knowledge, actually upgraded too much on the website. But did she sell? Oh, yes, she did. Of
course.
Did she make a lot of impact? Oh, yes, she did. And so I'm here to tell you that if you're actually called to be of service in some way in the world, whether it's to solve someone's problem or to fulfill their desire or to help give somebody a rite of passage from one identity to another, those are pretty much the ways that we help in this industry. The work for you is selling and serving. Just go out, have an offer, sell the offer, serve the offer, and celebrate the successes of the people that you've worked with.
Right. Absolutely.
It's pretty simple. Keep it simple.
I tell people what we do, and again, it's overly explained, but know, like, and trust. If people know you, if people like you, they want to get to know you. And the more they get to know you, the more that they'll trust you enough to have you be the person that guides them through a transformation, be the person that helps them build something. But we need to really focus on that. And I think that you're right. Have an offer, and be ready to tell people about it and sell it.
Preferably a 5-figure payday offer.
That's right. That's right. There's so many things that I could probably sit here for another hour. You've been incredibly gracious with your time. Could you tell us, because I know that there's people who are listening who, and my friends, I know it's you. I know you're thinking, oh my goodness, I think I need her. You don't think you need her. You want to work with someone like Anjel. So tell us how we can collaborate with you. How can we learn from your expertise, not only in podcasting, but you're a speaker. You're also that strategy coach that is working with individuals creating that revenue that we desire.
Yeah, well, I want to make it clear. I'm not a coach. I am a consultant.
That's right. That's right.
I just want to make it super clear.
I forgot about that. You're right.
No
I love that you said that. Yeah.
No worries, because people have different expectations of a coach than they do of a consultant.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am going to come in and I'm going to tell you the things that I see that need to be done. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, what do you think? What do you think? No, I'm going to say, you need to stop doing this. You need to stop doing this. You need to focus on this.
When you said that, when I met you and you said that, I thought, I mean, I'm trained as a coach, but that's not necessarily what I'm doing with people. I am, saying this is the way, this is how you do it. And so it gave me a lot to think about. So I still have to kind of marinate on that. But yeah, thank you for reminding me. But yeah.
Yeah, no problem. So, I have a gift for your audience members.
Love it.
I have my book, Be Heard by Millions and Live Your Destiny, The Creative Age Leader's Guide to Speak, Sell, Serve, and Succeed. Amazing. Which is what we just talked about. And it talks about my journey, like when I got started in the online space, how I got started with speaking. There's a little extra at the end about how I got started with podcasting. And that book is available at that book is available for free as a downloadable PDF at beheardbymillions.com. Beheardbymillions.com. There's also a fun quiz that's attached to the book. It's called the Speaker Magic Quiz. So when you get the book, take the quiz as well.
Take the quiz. I'm going to go take the quiz.
Yeah, there's 5 different types of speakers, and different types of speakers monetize in different ways. So there's a whole quiz series in there as well. And then certainly feel free to listen into Wickedly Smart Women. We are downloading now in 119 countries, 13-time award-winning, #1 internationally ranked. Or my latest podcast, which just won our first award, which is Leading Visionaries. We just won our first award for that. We've been doing Visionaries for a year as well. And so either one, on anywhere where you hear podcasts.
Well, we're going to have all the information in the show notes. We're excited that you're a part of our community. You're here and we're getting to know you. It's been an incredible journey to visit some of these things with you and to learn and to really be a sponge. So my friends, if you are listening, I want to encourage you. Number one, listening is great. Taking action is better. I want you to think of one thing and go back and listen to this episode again and think about like where you are that you're not taking action. Are you valuing yourself? Are you waiting to be perfect? Or what will you do after listening to this that will create the change in your life so that you can go after the life that you desire? I would love it also if we're going to have all of the information for Anjel. Connect with Anjel. Give her some social currency. Tell her how much you enjoy this podcast and share this podcast with the people that you know will benefit from hearing it. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you, my friend. And I'm probably going to see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you so much. Yes, because you're the speaker this month.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah. Oh.
Very excited.
Congratulations.
Very excited. Well,
and I'm going to see you in a couple of days too for your mastermind.
Oh, that's right. You're going to see. I forgot. I'm so excited for that. And if you're not part of the mastermind, you're missing out on an incredible guest coming to really pour into you, teach you, and help you in your journey to building your business and your life confidently. So, my friends, until next time, go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Thank you again.
Thanks for listening to Casa de Confidence. We thank you for listening, and if you want more, go to casadeconfidencepod.com. Check Julie out on her socials as Julie DeLucca-Collins. And you can also check out her website at goconfidentlycoaching.com. Have a great week, and don't forget, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
Hi, everybody. I know that sometimes we get very lonely in this entrepreneur journey, and I want to invite you to join us into our limited time only Purposeful You Mastermind. For many of us entrepreneurs, we believe that we can do it all, but the reality is that doing it alone only creates a lot of overwhelm. So join us at the Purposeful You Mastermind. You can find out more information by going to bit.ly/Julie's Mastermind. This is going to be the place where you are able to then unlock your full potential and achieve long-term success for your business. Push you behind your current limits, expand your connections, discover new ideas, and implement them with confidence. You're going to get the support in all aspects and transforming you to the six-figure business you've been looking for. Pause and get off the hamster wheel if you've been spinning around. This is a time where you can get that support from like-minded entrepreneurs that are here to join you in your journey. Together, we can challenge the assumptions and land the speaking engagements and opportunities we want to grow our business and make an impact in the lives of people. See you then. Remember, you can find the mastermind at bit.ly, Julie's Mastermind.